Ron Howard wins Oscar. I like all films. Yes, all kinds of stories, and I always have, which has brought me on great adventures. An unexpected discovery. Hollywood presented Paige Carol Howard, daughter of famed filmmaker Ron Howard and writer Cheryl Howard. It that her parents almost divorced many times after 50 years together. Their love tale beginning at 18 at John Burroughs High. A story that made Hollywood admire them. Paige told followers the truth, shocking them. Everyone thinks my folks live in a fairy story. At least 3 times, they almost divorced. The tale. Ron and Cheryl sent love letters and had huge hopes in the 1960s. Ron became Hollywood's center, and Cheryl battled to define herself. Fractures appeared. My mom threw her bag out the door, crying, "I can't live like this." Paige recalled. Conflicts between Ron's envy and they nearly broke up due to Cheryl's quest for freedom, leaving Paige and her siblings terrified and afraid their family would disappear. What lies behind their Hollywood glamour and bright smiles? Paige just revealed what stunned everyone. View everything in the video. Ron Howard, a legendary Hollywood director and actor with over 50 years of experience. He rose to fame as Opie Taylor in The Andy Griffith Show and later played Richie Cunningham in Happy Days, becoming famous in America. Ron, who directed smash hits like A Beautiful Mind, also acts The Da Vinci Code, Apollo 13, and his Oscar-winning Best Director work. He is known for his polished narrative that blends passion and character dimension, making cinema memorable. Yet the most remarkable. Ron was in love with Cheryl for 50 years. People typically assume this Hollywood fairy tale marriage has romance, faultless moments, Hollywood glitz, and warm hugs at the red carpet. The emotional and difficult layers under the surface are hidden from view. Curtain. One of Ron and Cheryl Howard's 4 children, Paige Carol Howard, 40, children, always felt uneasy when people idolized this love story. When someone addressed her parents' romance, she had to speak up. Paige smiled curiously, eyes saying, "The truth isn't straightforward. Everyone glances at my parents. Sees a perfect couple," she murmured, curious. "Our family life isn't what you think." Let's explore Paige's narrative to discover this seemingly profound relationship's deepest truths. In the golden sunshine of Burbank, California in 1968, 2 11th graders at John Burroughs High School, a 50-year romance began accidentally. Ron Howard, the red-haired Andy Griffith Show character Opie, met smart Cheryl Alley. Girl who loves books and writing. Dad claimed he knew immediately Cheryl was unique. Paige Carol Howard, one of their 4 children, smiled. His heart raced simply seeing Mom. Ron was seen by Cheryl as she was intrigued by this rising star's sincerity and clumsiness. Like any youthful couple, they had a simple first date in 1970. Ron took Cheryl to watch It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Then they ate small diner pizza. Daddy claimed his hands shook holding Mom's. Paige laughed. He was concerned Mom would find him childish, but she liked it. They married after exchanging handwritten notes, letters with futuristic dreams. Ron wanted to direct, and Cheryl wanted to write. These handwritten letters are still treasured, according to Paige. Their home. The journey to marriage was difficult. Ron proposed 3 times to Cheryl. Before agreeing. Cheryl first declined, focusing on college academics. Psychology, screenwriting. Paige said her mother was determined. Dad, she needed time to grow. They married simply on June 7, 1975, after Ron patiently waited. Henry Winkler appeared to be taunting my dad about to faint from joy. Paige recalled Cheryl was 21 when they started a difficult but rewarding adventure brimming with affection. Ron relied on Cheryl as he shifted from actor to director. Ron had Hollywood misgivings, but Cheryl always believed in him. She made cameos in most of Ron's films, from Splash to A Beautiful Mind. Dad named Mum his lucky charm. Paige boasted of his superstition. Every film needed a brief Mum appearance. Mother Cheryl raised 4 children, Bryce, Paige, Jocelyn, and Reed, so Ron could work. She never abandoned her enthusiasm composing scripts and novels. Their marriage has its flaws. Dad was fiercely envious but adored Mom. Paige described voice revealing surprising secret. He read Mom's diary because she laughed with a man. Classmate. Mom desired freedom to pursue her passions. After their 1975 wedding, their early years were tense. As Cheryl wrote, Ron increasingly controlled his transition from actor to director. "I heard my mom say," Dad screamed, "you can't just go everywhere like that." Paige was amazed when she decided to attend a literature workshop. Free-spirited Cheryl refused to bow. Arguments sometimes lasted until Paige and her siblings hid in their rooms at midnight, fearing for their survival. There were times Paige believed her parents would divorce. It was probably the late 90s when my parents, she stated she hadn't spoken in a week, trembling like a ghost. Dad holding a stack of papers. He yelled that Mom didn't respect him as Mom slammed the door and went, stating she oppressed by this marriage. Ron tore up a large divorce letter at the last minute. Cheryl wanted freedom but couldn't leave the family. Paige said, eyes mysterious, that their love was like a storm. Ron's jealousy continued as they aged. The 2010 decision by Cheryl to visit Pakistan in Afghanistan. Ron nearly went insane researching her work in the face of Jinn. Dad, crazy act, Paige recalled. Even Mom's calls were monitored that paid someone to remotely track her journey. Mom knew everything and flung her phone on the wall in anger. When she returned, Paige recalls her mother saying, "If you don't trust, then what does this marriage mean?" The family remained silent, scared. These disagreements were serious. Once, Dad slammed table because Mom agreed to a book interview without asking. Paige's voice was disbelieving. Dad wanted control Mom's appearance and friends. Cheryl often resisted. She left home briefly. Days, writing, "I need space to breathe." Paige and her tiny siblings sobbed and begged. They wanted their mother back to avoid family disintegration. Ron muddled things further. Howard explored Hollywood. From little performer in the Andy Griffith Show to famous director sketching many actresses noticed. Dad was the center of attention, Paige remembered. Pretty young stars from Happy Days supporting actresses to major celebrities. Ron's films were admired. Mom told me about a famous actress who sent Dad letters inviting him to dinner to discuss a project script. With a sweet smile, Paige emphasized the last words. These events tend seen the Howard household. Paige recalls her mother finding a huge flower and heartfelt message from a rising star sent to Ron's office. Mom panicked and flung the card, screaming at Dad. "Who do you think I am, invisible?" Ron said it was professional appreciation, but Cheryl couldn't take it. Threaten and retreat. Such incidents were common. An actress flirted with Ron at a backstage party in front of Cheryl. My mom felt insulted in my dad's world. She stated, "Paige, Hollywood is evil. I sometimes worry it may devour our love." But despite the storms, why did Paige confess? Ron and Cheryl always found each other. Curious voice. Some evenings, Mom composed apology letters to Dad despite her innocence. Dad knelt and asked Mom for forgiveness after unjustified jealousy. Though sad, the reconciliations bound them like glue. Paige recalls her parents hugging in the kitchen after a fight that like the outer world didn't exist. After 50 years, Ron and Cheryl's passionate love persists. In 2025, Ron posted about their 50th wedding anniversary, a social media snapshot of Cheryl writing, "The most beautiful at 71, the love of my life." Mom read it, smiled, and said, "Your dad is still cheesy," Paige added. Like then. They walk holding hands, laughing at one another's stupid jokes. With 4 kids, having 5 grandchildren, the Howard family exemplifies eternal love. Their secret, as Paige noted, that patience and communication are key. "My parents don't shrink from disputes, but they always resolve them," she said. Dad said Mom helps him manage his emotions, and Mom claimed Dad promotes her writing. Ron helped Cheryl publish books, and Cheryl read his scripts first. They were lovers and best friends, sharing passions and overcoming obstacles. Challenges together. "Looking at my parents, I learned love is daily choice," Paige thought. In Hollywood, where relationships can fall apart, Ron saved for and Cheryl, who went from dreaming teens to silver-haired couples, still looking at each other. "My parents love each other. Our teammates rowing life through every storm." Learn how Ron Howard created a harmonious, happy life. The whole life narrative of marriage, children, and sacrifices can be found at the beginning. Ron Howard was born in Duncan, Oklahoma in March 1954. Rance and Jean Howard's first child was Ronald William Howard. His father was an actor, writer, and director, and his mother was an actress trained in New York. Ron was raised artistically. Ron showed narrative and theatrical skills from an early age to outstanding potential. He made his theatrical debut at 18 months old and starred in his first film, Frontier Woman, age 2. Ron was carefully raised by his parents, prepped before playing a renowned kid actor, with Opie being his breakout. Taylor on The Andy Griffith Show in 1960 for 8 seasons, him a household name. Andy Griffith mentored, helping Ron live and work professionally as well as acting. Ron developed as an actor and person under this mentorship and a strong family foundation. Ron Howard, an actor and filmmaker, was enthusiastic about young filmmaking. CBS's production, directing, and project management at Playhouse 90 shaped him, his unique style for subsequent directing. Parts in The Music Man and The Father's Love showed his emotional and natural acting skills. Humor. Howard's breakout role was Steve Bolander in 1973. American Graffiti. He was still famous for playing Opie Taylor, The Andy Griffith Show, but his kid star image was too durable. American Graffiti, directed by George Lucas, followed a gang of teens on the streets. Last Night of July 1962. Major life decisions, listening to rock and roll classics. Steve, a high school student. Howard showed his adult acting skills in the picture, which cost under $1 million, grossed $140 million, 5 Oscars nominations, and prompted 1950s and 1960s nostalgia. The success of American Graffiti led Howard to join Happy Days in 1974, developed by Gary Marshall. He played wholesome, relatable boy next door Richie Cunningham that started slowly but became a huge hit when it converted to multi-camera with a live audience, ranking first on television in its 3rd season. Howard told stories. 11 seasons of teen, friendship, and family programming. Howard initially struggled behind the scenes of Happy Days. Howard was the headliner, but when Henry Winkler's Arthur Fonzarelli got famous, felt overlooked. Fonz's leather jacket and confidence won over the audience. Favor. ABC proposed renamed Happy Days of Fonza, infuriating Howard. His primary role was eclipsed, therefore he sought the original name. And ABC agreed, but Fonza dominated. Howard this reality career and Winkler stayed great friends. Never totally in control, stardom requires talent, dedication, and relationships can help overcome difficulties. Ron Howard became an actor and director from classics and Happy Days. Renowned Hollywood director. Ron Howard faced incredibly challenging circumstances, despite never being jealous of Henry Winkler. He felt Happy Days was no longer his show. Caused tension backstage due to Winkler's burgeoning fame. Howard noted his priority had changed among CEOs. Instead of being affected by media speculation that he was becoming a second-class citizen in his show, Howard transformed the problem into inspiration and focused on job direction. Leaving Happy Days with hopes of doing more than acting, Howard left 1980 with a goal and the skills to realize his directing goals. His passion to direct began early. He made short films in high school in Burbank, California, with a Super 8 camera, 2nd place in a Kodak contest. Howard graduated high school in 1972 knowing what he wanted. His basis in framing and visual narrative came from the Super 8 films. He attended USC's School of Cinematic Arts after graduating. First-year film studies student, Howard had sophisticated equipment and industry ties. He played Richie Cunningham in Happy Days, a hit show, shortly after starting at USC. This made performing and studying impossible, so Howard had to choose. Decision. He left USC early, yet kept learning. Every acting role was an opportunity to study filmmaking, observe directors, ask questions, and learn how a set works. Howard later returned to USC as A. Howard's first guest lecturer advising young filmmakers. In 1977, a unique director breakthrough occurred. If Howard starred in Eat My Dust, producer Roger Corman was on board. Howard agreed to make his own picture despite disliking the script. Bigger chance. Ron and his father wrote Grand Theft Auto in 2 weeks. The $62,000 film was shot in 23 days as a car-themed action comedy. Chases and odd personalities divided critics, but audiences adored it. The picture grossed $15 million, a big deal considering this was crucial because the director was new and the budget was modest. Howard became a famous actor and skilled director, allowing him to pursue his cinematic career, making passion in the coming years. Grand Theft Auto was influential in his career. Ron Howard had to balance a tight timetable, limited resources, and pressure to deliver an excellent film and Howard's sole self-directed feature. More crucially, the success showed he could do more. Howard's directing became widely recognized in Hollywood That career began off in 1982 with Night Shift, a comedy that showed he was more than a Richie Cunningham actor that on Happy Days, Howard wanted to explore outside the spotlight. Though he had directed smaller projects, Night Shift was his first significant challenge. This picture about a cautious man stars Henry Winkler, Shelley Long, and Michael Keaton in his first big role, that bank employee engaging in an odd after-hours prostitution ring. That premise that Howard blended with over-the-top comedy and real moments. The picture succeeded to unexpectedly grossed over $21 million at the box office. Howard's direction and Michael Keaton's acting were lauded. Spirited performance, which won the Kansas City Film Critics Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor. Today, Night Shift has a 93% Rotten Tomatoes rating. That considered one of the best early 1980s comedy. Janet Maslin of the New York Times highlighted a second-half energy drop, but the film improved Howard's connection with Henry Winkler. Happy Days had brought them close, but Night Shift was different. Winkler demonstrated he could do more than comedies, while Howard showed he could manage a full-length film. Some liken Night Shift to blockbuster comedies of the time. It also established Howard's direction, mixing humor, passion, and good storytelling rhythm. Howard swiftly directed Splash in 1984, that romantic fantasy comedy starring Tom Hanks as a man who loves a Daryl Hannah mermaid. The clever idea combines humor and emotion with John Candy and Eugene Levy. Adding comedy in Hanks and Hannah's connection makes the plot convincing. That it launched Hanks' career and was Howard's debut feature under his name. Touchstone Pictures, Disney's new label, cost around $1 million. To Splash grossed over $70 million in the U.S. Ranking 10th. That Howard's comedy blend earned him Film of the Year. Roger Ebert complained that John Candy should have led out of Hanks. The picture was a hit and won an Oscar. Best Original Screenplay nomination showed Howard wasn't flashy, but a director who might innovate Hollywood. A year later, Howard kept experimenting with a new genre with Cocoon, proving his flexibility. Cinematic tale. Cocoon follows old-age nursing home patient who meets extraterrestrials who rejuvenate them. The Academy Award-winning picture mixed humor and pioneering visual effects. Cocoon, filmed in St. Petersburg, Florida, starred experienced actors. The Oscar-winning Best Supporting Actor Donna Mitch has almost $85 million. This picture was one of 1985's biggest hits, demonstrating Howard's ability to blend sci-fi and emotion. Years later, Howard made Apollo 13, a riveting picture movie about NASA's 1970 lunar mission with Jim Levelvell. Jack after an oxygen shortage, Swigert and Fred Hayes were in danger. That tank exploded. Returning to Earth became a difficult fight. Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, and Bill Paxton played astronauts. Ed Harris Gary Sin Eyes realistically depicted mission control leaders. Howard worked closely with NASA, recording comet and aircraft scenes to simulate zero-gravity moments, showing painstaking detail. Apollo 13 made $35 million worldwide on $52 million budget and 9 Oscars awards for Best Film Editing and Sound. Years later, Howard explored True Lovely Mind Stories. Released December 21, 2001, the film mathematical prodigy John Nash's schizophrenia-afflicted existence. Russell Crowe accurately depicted Nash's delusions and success, while Jennifer, his wife, Connolly, added emotion. Howard employed new techniques. Narrative skills, providing vital elements only after Nash realized them, putting the audience in the character's head. The interaction drove the film's emotion between Nash and his wife, Jennifer Connelly's Oscar triumph, and for the film grossed over $313 million worldwide and won Oscars for Best Picture and Director. $58 million spent altering schizophrenia views while celebrating. Howard showed Nash's resilience and success that create emotionally moving films from actual stories. Howard was good at both serious dramas and fantasy, like How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Making Dr. Seuss's book into a live-action picture was difficult, but Jim Carrey as the Grinch made it work. That became a Christmas hit. Daily makeup took hours. Howard described Carrey as the Green Grinch, feeling buried alive but still having fun. Set mood with superb cast, sophisticated production, and a mix of How the Grinch Stole Christmas showed Howard's versatility. That a versatile director who excels in sci-fi and actual events, from psychological dramas to children's fantasies. Howard constantly transforms stories into unforgettable films. That on November 17, 2000, How the Grinch Stole Christmas was released, that's soon becoming the highest-grossing holiday picture at $345. The $123 million picture received the Academy Award in 2006. Howard directed the starring Tom Hanks, Vinci Code, based on Dan Brown's best-selling novellas Robert Langdon, who discovers the Holy Grail and a secret religious group. The film caused controversy. The Pope condemned it, religious groups called for boycotts, and its portrayal was questioned. Christianity did not hinder its earnings. The Da Vinci Code debuted in Canada on May 17, 2006, grossing $760 million worldwide on $125 million budget, followed by Angels and Demons 2009 and Inferno 2016, retaining audiences' favorite historical mystery and action. Not all of Howard's films were hits. Inferno in 2016, a standalone Star Wars project in 2018. Robert Langdon's Inferno 3 made $220 million on $75 million budget owing to dwindling audience interest and confusing plot. The original Solo, a Star Wars story, had several backstage concerns. After Phil Lord and Christopher Miller left, Howard took over. Despite excellent reviews, the picture made $393 million, marking the first and profitable Star Wars film. Challenging situations, Howard remained professional, took pride in his work, and never blamed others. Ron also made a difference in filmmaking by co-founding Imagine Entertainment alongside Brian Grazer, a Hollywood powerhouse. Over 50 successful films and TV shows like Arrested Development, Empire, and Friday Night Lights. Imagine Entertainment expanded. Streaming services making Netflix, Disney Plus, and Apple TV Content Plus. The corporation went public in 1986, but then went private. Ownership. The 1992 acquisition generated billions in global sales. Ron Howard won 2 Oscars for A Beautiful Mind and was nominated for Apollo 13, Frost Nixon's 6 Emmys, 2 Globes, and Grammy for The Beatles' 8 Days a Week. His films grossed $2 billion globally. He has 2 Hollywood Walk of Fame stars for 1981 television and Cinema Point 2015. Imagine Entertainment won 47 awards under his guidance. Ron received 2,117 Oscar and Emmy nominations that earned the 2003 National Medal of Arts, cementing his standing as a famous Hollywood filmmaker. Ron Howard enjoys a fulfilling existence. Ron and Cheryl met at Burbank's John Burroughs High School. They bonded as teens despite Cheryl rejecting Ron's first proposal to focus on her academics. Their relationship grew stronger. They married on June 7, 1975. When Ron was 21, Ron felt assured of this decision and resolved to raise a happy family. Ron and Cheryl's life turned richer after having 4 children. Bryce Dallas Howard, born 1981, Howard Carroll twins Paige and Jocelyn, born 1985, youngest Reed 1987. Each child picked their own path from acting and screenplay to private life or sports, but all stayed tied to the family. Jurassic World made Bryce Dallas famous. While Paige acted and wrote, Jocelyn kept a low profile in Hollywood. Lights, and Reed had a social media presence while playing golf professionally. To varied choices. Ron and Cheryl always wanted their children to have a normal childhood without pressures. Entertainment industry. Instead than encouraging their kids to perform early, they focused on education and stability. The Howards traveled together while filming, and Cheryl was pregnant with Reed. They went to London so Ron could work and attend the birth. Their notion that family comes first, including in child naming. Texas named Bryce Dallas was creative and funny. Reed and Paige after the Manhattan Carroll Hotel, and Jocelyn after Last. Paige Carroll, Howard Ron, and Cheryl's daughter just revealed that her parents' relationship wasn't always great. They nearly split in the past, going through stressful and difficult times nobody knew about. Many ask, do you still adore Ron and Cheryl or this fairy tale love story? Impressed by his work? Comment below. If you like this story, subscribe to the channel for more true star family stories. Watch and explore the latest videos. Hollywood's Glamour Secrets.